الله أكبر الله أكبر.
I was born in India, in a village, on the 1st of July, 1918. In August 1927, I reached Durban, South Africa.
This is the Madrasa Arcade in Durban, South Africa.
The curious narrow alleyways of the Madrasa Arcade are familiar to Yaqub Mehtar. Over 50 years ago, he and his young friend Ahmed would wander through the marketplace on their way to the tailor shop of Ahmed's father, Hussein Deedat.
And this is the shop of Mr. Deedat Senior.
9-year-old Ahmed Deedat moved to Durban in 1927 to join his father Hussein, who had settled there a few years earlier. Ahmed's voyage to South Africa had been long and difficult. In fact, he almost never made it to the streets of Durban. Much of the money went to pay for the rent of their small apartment in Ismail Building, next to one of the oldest mosques in Durban. One of Ahmed's neighbors in the building, Ahmed Suleiman Beylim, would eventually become one of his lifelong supporters.
This is the building, and on the right you see this apartment here. Ahmed Deedat and his family stayed, and I used to be his neighbor. Next one, which is in apartment number 2.
So you are very close.
So we're very close. In fact, nice people, but the family was very poor people.
Ahmed enrolled at the Anjuman school, where he was in Standard 4. It was the first time he had seen the letters ABC and heard the words yes and no. In 6 months' time, however, he had learned English and became the top of his class. He was promoted to the next standard, where he also excelled academically. Every day he walked to school and back home because his father couldn't afford the bus fare of 2 pennies. He later moved on to Sastry College, a respectable school built by an Indian immigrant to South Africa. Ahmed showed up for the first day of his new school in his clean new uniform, ready to hit the books.
But this is where Ahmed Deedat's education came to an abrupt end. He must have spent only a few hours walking these corridors because after only 3 days at college, his father pulled him out. Financial considerations put an abrupt end to him furthering his education.
His mission was outside Durban in the rolling hills of rural South Africa. Ahmed took a job in a country store called the O.N. Mohammed shop. Just across the way was the enormous Adams Mission Complex, an institute where young missionaries learned how to convert others to Christianity.
These missionaries, you know, they were making life miserable for us from this college. They were getting training there as to how to deal with the Muslims. And as they came to do their shopping here, they asked us questions. Criticism, actually. It says, you know, Muhammad has so many wives. I knew nothing about that. It says, you know, Muhammad spread his religion at the point of the sword. I knew nothing about that. He says, you know, he copied his book from the Jews and the Christians. I knew nothing about that. So what was I as a Muslim to do? I had a natural urge for reading. And one Sunday morning, going into my boss's warehouse, go down, I was rummaging through a pile of old newspapers, looking for some better reading material than newspapers to read. And as I was looking for such a material, I came across a worm-eaten book. This book, we have renewed the cover, but a worm-eaten book. And when I picked it up, I started to sneeze because it was all full of mildew. And I read the title of the book.